Okay, good morning everyone, welcome. Let's sit up straight. Sitting up straight means sitting up with a straight spine, which begins by sitting perhaps on a block so that your knees are not lifted and dragging you down. If you're sitting on a block and your knee is lifted, that's okay. As long as the low back is comfortable, you're good. So let's sit up straight, chest up, shoulders down, body relaxed. Close your eyes. Behind closed eyes, lift your gaze for a moment. We always start a yoga class by coming into our center. Center means the spine. So for a moment, for a few moments, with closed eyes, focus on your center. Now let's tense and relax the body a few times. Each time we tense, we take a double inhaling breath. Let's do that. Double inhale and tense. Relax twice more. Last time. Throw the breath out. Relax completely. Once again, come back into your center. And now we come to the practice of yoga. Slowly open your eyes. Good morning everyone once again. So today's class, we'll talk about yoga, how to do yoga for healthy digestion. It's one of the biggest determinants of our overall health is how well our digestive system is working. And the digestive system is more than digestion itself. Digestion is the act of cooking your food. You take something and it needs to be softened, cooked, converted. That is digestion. And that happens mainly in the upper part of your belly. And then there is assimilation. Whatever you have cooked, it needs to be, these nutrients need to be assimilated into the body. And that happens in the lower part of your belly. And the third is the elimination. Things that you don't need should be thrown away, and that happens in the lowest part of your digestive system. So the assimilated nutrients are then circulated, so when all of these things are working properly, we have proper digestion. And here's the thing about Hatha Yoga is more than 50% of the practices of Hatha Yoga, especially in the ancient texts, are devoted to having good digestion, believe it or not. It's that important. So what yoga does is it works with digestion in several ways. One is it actually makes you digest better. So you can overeat if you wish and suffer less consequences. It's still bad for you, I just want to disclaimer, but your digestive fire is increased, your ability to assimilate, metabolize is increased, and your ability to detoxify is increased. And most importantly, yoga begins to relax the mind. And when we relax, the way these things are choreographed, you have to digest first, assimilate next, eliminate right after. That choreography works really well. Okay, so that's what we'll practice one by one, and I'll point out as we go along which practices achieve what effect. So let's begin with a few warm-ups now. Always good to do some warm-ups before you start doing yoga. And the other part is when you do yoga poses. Yoga is much more than the poses. Come on your hands and knees. So we'll be doing things besides the yoga poses today and of course in every class. Let's move the spine a little bit. Take a deep breath in. And as you breathe out, slowly begin to round the spine. And inhale, begin to arch the spine, lift your sit bones open through the heart and gently look up and round the spine. Again, starting with the tailbone, curling it down, rounding the low back, pressing through the back of the heart and relaxing the neck. And about 3 or 4 more times. Move at the pace of your breath. So we'll do this a little more quickly. While you exhale, you round the spine, and when you inhale, you arch the spine. And slowly release. Come back to center. Walk your hands forward so that your arms are sloping in front of you. And if you look down, you'd be seeing your thumbnail. Tuck your toes under. Make sure your feet are about hip width apart. Lift your knees off the floor. Press into your hands. Breathe in. And as you breathe out, bend the right knee and straighten the left. It's a nice deep stretch for your hamstrings. Relax your head. And change sides, bend the left knee and straighten the right. Again, change sides. Gradually, allow the backs of the legs to stretch. If this is hard on your wrist, you can also do it on your forearms. That's perfectly fine. Just keep going back and forth, stretching. Now bend the left knee and fully straighten the right, press into the right heel. Keep the right knee straight and fully straighten the left. Doesn't matter whether the heels touch the floor, it's okay if they come off. Hold this for 2 or 3 breaths. And then walk your feet towards your hands and slowly come up with a straight spine. Okay, we are just warming up the body. We'll come to the digestive system soon. Circle of joy. Let's open up the shoulders, hands in front of your heart. Press your hands together. Take a deep breath in. And as you breathe out, clasp your hands. Push the base of the palms forward. Inhale to lift up. Exhale. Arms behind you. Straighten your arms and lift your arms. Smile a little bit or smile a lot. So smiling will really help you stretch. And breathe in, breathe out. A few more times. One secret of yoga is whenever you lift the arms, you press down with the feet. It's always good for the feet to be parallel to each other instead of spread out like this. So look down, make sure that your feet are parallel. You'll be surprised at what you see. And inhale, exhale, inhale, release, pause. Okay, now we come to the actual start of the yoga poses. The first yoga pose is, it's not so much a pose as it is a reference point. This is what you come back to evaluate how you're doing. This is called Tadasana. Look down, again feet are parallel and about the width of a fist. In Tadasana, what we do is we strengthen the legs and allow the upper body to relax as a result. So as you strengthen the legs, don't tense your buttocks, just the legs, you'll feel the chest opening. If you really press down into the feet, you'll feel the heart responding by relaxing. So a pose that looks like this will convert into a pose that looks like this. Once we have the heart open, what do? We breathe deeply. And exhale. It's important, even while the body is working, for a sense of relaxation to be present in your mind. So don't put your mind into this and really kind of work with a great amount of determination. Work with easefulness. Do this. Deploy your strength with great ease. So become stronger. Good. I stand ready to obey thy least command. Use this affirmation to take you deep. Now, let's find the block. If you don't have a block, this is mainly saying this for the benefit of the people who would be watching a recording, you can use a thick book or anything that's stable and about 4 to 6 inches in height. So this is Trikonasana. Spread your feet approximately 3.5 feet wide. I'm always mirroring you. So if you put the block on the same side that I have put, you'll be good. So put it on your left side. Turn your left foot out 90 degrees. Turn your right heel out about 30 degrees. Strengthen both legs. What we are doing here is we are stretching the spine so we can prepare for the poses that improve the digestive system. Place the left hand at the hip, the right hand at the waist, and tilt your pelvis. Pelvis means this part of the body. Instead of being straight, it is tilting to the left. Keep the left knee straight. Inhale. Straighten your left arm deeply and reaching out. Exhale as you reach it down. It might come right on the block, it might go a little bit lower, or you may not need the block at all. It's all up to you, whatever works for you. Turn your chest to face forward, press into the right foot, lift your arms, separating the arms. Turn your head to look up. Energy and joy flood my body cells. Joy descends to me. Very good. Now as you're here in this pose, really work the back leg. The more you work the back leg, you stimulate the base of the spine. You're stimulating your powers of elimination. Apana, it's called in Sanskrit. Now press into the outside of the right foot. Inhale to float your body up. Point the toes forward. Exhale the arms down. Pause. Step your feet a teeny bit closer because they would have moved farther away. Transfer the block to the other side. Now remember, in Trikonasana, we work this part of the body. From there, we work the legs. So everybody strengthen your buttocks. Right foot out, left heel out. Right hand at the hip, left hand at the waist. Tip to the right. The tendency when you tip is for the knee to bend. So work the buttocks to keep the knee straight. Tip a little bit more. Inhale. Exhale. Reach out and then down. And lift the other arm up. Chest, face the chest forward. Lengthen through the crown of the head. Look up. Energy and joy flood my body cells. Joy descends to me. Everybody is doing great. Breathe in and out deeply as you do the pose. There's only 3 keys to the pose. The first is work the legs. Second, keep the spine long. Don't collapse towards the floor. Instead, lengthen to the right. And the third is breathe deeply. Very good. Press into the outside of the left foot. Inhale to come all the way up. You should be floating up. Point the toes forward. Arms come down. Step back into Tadasana. See, that's why it's the reference pose. You come back here and see how much more your ability has increased to stay aligned and tall. Let's stretch the breathing muscles next because we are going to be needing it for our first pose involving the digestive system. To stretch the breathing muscles, Ardha Chandrasana, half moon pose. Come up on your toes, press your heels together. Really work those buttocks and legs. Inhale the arms up. Stretch tall, as tall as you can. See, the more tall you can become here, the deeper the pose will be. Relax the shoulders down, hook your thumbs together, pull on the thumbs to open the armpit, bring the heels close to the floor. Don't touch the floor, you're very close to the floor. Now, inhale. As you exhale, just move the left hip away. So you come into a graceful curve. And once again, don't bend here. So you're not bending this way. The arms are not leading the pose, the hip is. If you have shoulder issues, it's perfectly fine to do this pose like this or even like this. As long as you work the hip to the right, you're doing good. And of course, you have to breathe. Feel that stretch. Try as much as possible to avoid letting the arms lead the pose. That is of very little use. Strength and courage. Fill my body cells. Now inhale, lengthen up, exhale. And close your eyes briefly. What happens when we do the stretch is the energy awakens, the prana awakens, and we feel good. Any contact with energy, when the mind touches the prana, the heart feels good. So enjoy that feeling for a moment. Don't jump from pose to pose. Pause in between poses. Let's go to the other side. Come up on your toes. Really come up on your toes. Press the heels. Inhale the arms up. Pull on the thumbs, open the armpits, relax the shoulders, bring the heels close to the floor. Move the right hip away. Right hip moves. Lengthen through the arms. Now watch me for a moment. Don't do what I'm about to do. I'm telling you this as something that you shouldn't do. Don't lift your shoulders and let your arms come forward. Instead, drop the shoulders, take your arms back. If you lengthen the inside arm, you'll get a lot more out of the pose. Lengthening the outside is easy. It's the inside that needs to lengthen. Very good. And in the midst of it all, remember that inner relaxation that I told you? Just have a gentle smile every now and then. Now inhale, exhale. Bring your feet a little wider for Tadasana. Close your eyes. Strength and courage. Fill my body cells. In yoga, we start with the physical body, but we quickly leave it behind. You move the body to attain stillness. Now comes our first pose for the digestive system. This is called Pavana Muktasana, wind freeing pose. We start from the lower part of the digestive system. So the pose involves squatting down and lifting the knees up into the chest. Squatting fully down is a tricky thing to do, so you can put your heels on a block. If you are unsure of your ability to do this, put your heels on a block. You can always slide off the block later. Now from there, let's simply come into a squatting position. Your heels should be either on the floor or on the block. Otherwise, you're not doing the pose. Now from there, press the thigh into the calf. So you're settling down. So your thigh is pressing into the calf. Okay. Then exhale, reach your arms forward and lift the knee into the chest. Very good. And just breathe here. Emphasize your exhalation. The point of this pose is to exhale completely. Give it time. I know it's hard to begin with, but if you give it about 30 seconds, then you'll find that your body will adjust. Press the thigh into the calf, lift the knee up. I release my spinal energies to rise in light. Now it's easy in this pose to lift your shoulders up. We should avoid doing that. You should draw the shoulders down and lift the heart up. If you're feeling pretty flexible at this point, you can let go of the block. Now breathe in, inhale, and come all the way up. Pause. Notice how when you work with the energy of elimination, when you stimulate it, you feel lighter. Detoxification or elimination always has that effect. Body and mind feels lighter. Pause for a moment. The next one, it's not actually a pose, it's what is called as a kriya, meaning an action that has useful benefits. It's called Agnisara, the essence of fire. We are working with the digestive fire. Spread your feet apart shoulder width, place your hands on your knees, roll your shoulders up so that your belly is kind of fully supported and can relax. What we do is we expel the breath and pump the stomach in and out very strongly. Let's try that. Pump the stomach. Pause. Be still for a few moments. It's very, very good to stimulate your digestive fire. Don't be surprised if you feel hungry after today's routine. Let's try that one more time. You shouldn't just draw it in forcefully, but you should push it out forcefully as well. Both are equally important. Let's try, but keep the breath held out. Pause. Bring your feet a little closer. Gaze at the point between the eyebrows. Gaze, drishti in Sanskrit. Point between the eyebrows or the forehead is called bhru madhya drishti. Center of the forehead, gazing. Gaze there. Feel your mind, your consciousness lift up. We'll continue to work with the digestive fire. We are going to gently invert the torso. Padahastasana, jackknife pose. Press into your feet, lift the arms around and up. As you exhale, arms to the side and begin to fold at the hip, meaning don't bend the spine, only the hips are folding. Place your hands on your thighs. Lift your buttocks. Your sit bones are lifting up, and the crown of the head is growing forward. Pause here for a few breaths. Breathe deeply. When you breathe deeply in this position, your digestive fire is stimulated. Your stomach gets an exercise. Now, if you have back issues of any sort, stay right here with a straight spine, with your hands supporting the torso. But if your back is fine, then you can inhale, and as you exhale, release your hands straight down. For some of you, it will come close to the toe. In that case, hold your toes. If it doesn't come close to the toes, hold the back of your leg. Just touch the back of your leg with your hand. In both cases, relax your body, lengthen the sides of your body. Lift the sit bones. If your hands are touching the floor, try to hold your toe. It has a little energy benefit. Now hold this pose. From this point, hold it for a little over a minute. Remember, if you have back issues, you stay about halfway up with your hands on your thighs. Breathe in and breathe out. Feel your belly touch the thigh, and every time you breathe in, your belly is stimulated. Say to yourself, nothing on earth can hold me. Be patient. Slowly the pose will deepen. Draw the shoulders away from the ears so that your heart continues to be open. Very good. Now, on an inhaling breath, lift your head, lift your heart, and with a straight spine, come all the way up. Don't roll your spine up, come up with a straight spine. Lift your arms to the side and then up, and relax them down. Close your eyes. Actually, open your eyes. I wanted to show you something. When you come up from this position, the tendency is to come up like this. This feels nice and relaxing, but it's not necessarily the best for your back. So it's best to lift your head, lift your heart, and come up with a straight spine. That way, over time, you will prevent back injuries. It's just for future reference, but for now, let's pause here. Feel that sensation of warmth in the stomach. Nothing on earth can hold me. Let's sit now on our heels. Among the various ways of sitting, if you want to sit with the outcome of calming down the mind, then we sit in full lotus pose. If you want to sit with the outcome of stimulating digestion, then you sit on your heels. That is because when you sit on the heels, the area behind your belly button gets stimulated. Okay? Now, sitting on the heels might be a little hard for some people. In that case, you can use a block or two blocks and sit on them. If you've had knee injuries or knee replacement, then this won't work. Just sit cross-legged. No matter how you're sitting, bring your hands next to your hips, draw the elbows into the body, lift the heart, relax the shoulders, close your eyes. This is Vajrasana. Vajra means diamond, or also refers to Vajra, the weapon of the thunderbolt. As you sit here, allow your hips, your buttocks to press into the heels and allow your heart to lift. When you do both, you will feel a space created in the area of your belly. Breathe in and out deeply. In stillness, I touch my inner strength. Now slowly come on your knees. This is Ustrasana, camel pose. This pose, among other benefits, it helps really stimulate all the organs of digestion. Place your hands around the curve of your buttocks. The closer your hands are, the deeper you can do the pose. Now from there, beneath your hands, feel your buttocks work strongly, and your pelvis, the front part of your hips, will come forward like this. And as the hips come forward, you will feel your heart begin to lift. Inhale into that lift, take the heart up and then back, and you keep doing that little by little with every breath. Go a little bit, lift your heart a little higher, feel the stretch in the stomach area. And for some of you, if you release your hands will reach the heel. In that case, let it touch the heel. If not, come right back onto with hands on the buttocks. Either way is fine. Those of you whose hands are touching the heels, press into the hands, lift the heart, relax the neck. Breathe in and out deeply. With calm faith, I open to thy light. Draw the hips forward, not back. If you draw it back, then you lose the stretch. Heart lifts, hips come forward, and that way the digestive system gets stimulated. Just one more breath. Good. Now inhale to lift your heart up and then forward. In this kneeling position, just pause for a few breaths. Just feel how your body responds, but feel that heat in the belly slowly building up. This is called samana. Samana means it's the fire of, it's the energy of digestion. It's centered right in the area of the solar plexus. So let's stimulate that a little bit more with Bhujangasana, cobra pose. Lie down on your belly. Place your forehead on the floor. Hands are next to your chest and elbows are tucked into the body. Elbows are moving away from the ears. Now, without pressing into the hands, first energize your buttocks and energize your legs. Without pressing into the hands, inhale to lift your chest off the floor. Slowly. If you watch me for a moment, it's very easy to do this pose if you press into the hands and lift all the way up. But notice there is no stimulation in the belly. It's not that useful to do the pose like this. Far more useful to keep the belly on the floor and keep lifting the heart higher. See, I'm not using my hands. I'm using the power of the spine. Then now once you've lifted a little bit, press into the hands to take the heart up and back, as like you're climbing a wall. Your lower belly is still on the floor. So watch me. You don't come up like this. That's not very useful. Your lower belly is still on the floor and your heart is lifting up. Lead with the heart. Say to yourself, I rise joyfully to meet each new opportunity. Lift a little more. If you smile, you can lift a little higher. We'll hold this for about 30 seconds more, which is about 4 breaths. Breathe deeply. Always keep your elbows in. Don't let them spread out. Then you will find your heart can lift a little more. Good. Last 2 breaths. I rise joyfully to meet each new opportunity. Now inhale. As you exhale, draw the forehead forward and place the forehead on the floor. If this is hard for you, then you can place the forehead on your palms. In either case, just rest. As you're resting, feel your energy, your prana, going from the base of the spine, the root, Muladhara, all the way into the brain, Agya, the 6th chakra. That upward passage of energy harmonizes your digestion. Now, as you are in this position, turn your head to look at me. This is how we are going to come out of the pose. You're going to tuck the toes and kind of lift the torso, like that. All the while we'll be using the belly. So let's try that. Press into the hands, tuck the toes, push out with the toes, curl the tailbone, inhale, and as you exhale, lift your hips first and then lift your torso and come into the plank. You do your best. I know it's hard. Work your way up into the plank. We'll hold the plank for about 30 seconds. As you're doing the plank, take a quick peek at me. It's tempting to do it with your bum lifted up a little bit. You'll do better to bring your hips forward and draw your hips a little lower, but not too low. You don't want to hurt the low back. So you want to be like a plank. Just 2 more breaths. Take a deep breath in. As you exhale, bend your knees and just pause there for a few breaths. And from there, let's come into Balasana, child's pose. Be careful if you have knee issues, then you might want to keep your buttocks lifted, but if not, draw your buttocks all the way back. If you have a lot of flesh in your upper body, you can spread your knees a little wider. If not, keep the knees closed. In either way, draw the head forward and gradually bring the forehead towards the floor. The buttocks stay relatively close to the heels. Don't lift your buttocks up. And if the forehead doesn't touch the floor, then keep a block underneath the forehead. And just rest here for several breaths. If your forehead is touching the floor, bring your arms by the side so you get that extra stretch. Your fingers are pointing back. Affirm to yourself, I relax from outer involvement into my inner haven of peace. It's for about 30 seconds. Stay still and peaceful, breathing deeply. Now bring your hands underneath your shoulders, press into the hands, lift the head, lift the heart, come all the way up. Sit in a cross-legged pose just for a few breaths. So we worked with the energy of elimination, the energy of digestion. And the next part that we'll come to is a very interesting pose called Baddha Konasana. Baddha means bound, meaning two things are coming together which are normally separate, in this case the hands and the feet. So they are binding. Kona means angle, so you create an angle by this binding of the two things that were separate. That's what the pose means. And so we bring the feet together. Let the knees be lifted. I would advise sitting on a block to keep your hips slightly elevated, if to begin with. But if you are an experienced yogi and you've done this pose before, then by all means you can come off the block. That's perfectly fine. But if you're new, then let's bind the hand and the feet together. So clasp your hands underneath your heels, but not heels, the toes, and press the toes down into the hands. Now you've created a strong bind. Why? Because we can lift the heart. Whenever you bind hands and feet in yoga, it means heart needs to be lifting. Now lift the heart, and when the heart lifts, you have to smile. You can't be grumpy and lift the heart. It doesn't work. You have to smile. Now the rest of the pose is simple. You keep the inside of the feet pressed against each other and allow the knees. Don't worry about the knees relaxing to the floor. That's a different version of the pose. For our purposes, we'll just keep the heart lifting. You'll just stay here. Gradually, you'll feel your knees relax towards the floor. But don't worry about that for now. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and say to yourself, secure in myself, I accept whatever is, including your own limitations in doing the pose. Just accept it, or your ability to do the pose very well. Accept both. Don't be disturbed by it. Secure in myself, I accept whatever is. Bind the hands and the feet, but lift the heart. Not the head. It's not an ego thing, but it's a joyful feeling thing. Now this has given us enough stretch in this pose. So now we can take it deeper. Open your feet like you're opening a book. That will allow your knees to go lower, like this. And you're still using the bind, you're just no longer pulling on it, it's more natural. Now from this position, you can stay right here, or you can begin to bend forward. Now watch me. There are two ways of bending forward. One way is kind of leading with the head. It looks like this. That's not very useful. You have to lead with your belly. So your spine is straight and you're bending forward like that. Secure in myself, I accept whatever is. Bend only until you are able, and then just stay there. It's perfectly fine. And it's also okay to stay straight up. We'll hold this for another half a minute. If you're close enough If your elbows are close enough to the knees, you can rest your elbows on the knees. That's a great way. This pose is very good. For men, it's very good for the prostate, and for women, it's very good for the uterus. Just about 2 more breaths. Don't release the pose yet. Take a deep inhalation, take a deep exhalation, feel the movement of prana within you. And on the next inhale, come up, lift your torso, release the bind. Sit cross-legged, place your hands on your knees, close your eyes. Now when you sit cross-legged, you can sit in Ardha Siddhasana, Siddhasana, accomplished pose, where the left heel is into the perineum and the right ankle is right in front of the left. Or you can sit in the full Siddhasana, where you lock your feet in between the calf and the thigh. Either way, doesn't matter. Let's sit here for a few moments. Secure in myself, I accept whatever is. Now you notice often yoga is taught in a very flowy, you move from one pose to the other and keep moving throughout the yoga class. That's a perfectly valid way of doing, but this way of doing relaxes us very deeply while still giving us a very good workout. The key in yoga when you finish it is you should feel like you haven't done anything except you feel lighter and more peaceful. But in reality, you would have done a lot of things. So it's that relaxation in the midst of effort that distinguishes yoga from exercise. So stay here for just a few more breaths. Now open your eyes. We talked about digestion and we talked about elimination, which we worked with. The energy next is that of assimilation or metabolism. That's centered here in the throat. So this is Ardha Matsyendrasana. Again, if you're new to this, sit on a block. If you're experienced, you can ditch the block. Let's cross the left ankle over the right. Hold your right ankle with your left hand. Bring the right heel to the outside of the left hip. Bend the left knee. Clasp your hands on your shin, and on an inhaling breath, lift your heart, just like we've been doing. Now, you can stay right here, or if you are able to slide this foot across without lifting the buttocks. In other words, if you did it with the buttock lifted, then don't do it. But if you are able to do it without lifting the buttock, go ahead and bring the leg across the body. Now begins the pose. Inhale the left arm up. Exhale, take it back and a little bit to the right. The right hand is on the outside of the left knee. Inhale, lift the heart. As you exhale, move the belly button across the thigh. It's a lumbar twist. Now, inhale. As you exhale, reach your torso forward, wrap your elbow over the left knee, and twist your heart to face the left. Inhale and lengthen the spine, press into the hips. Exhale, twist a little bit more. Now, inhale. As you exhale, look over the left shoulder. The objective here is to press the right elbow into the left knee and resist with the left knee. And with that resistance, you will feel your heart open more. With each breath, lengthen the spine. Inhaling breath. With every exhaling breath, twist a little bit more. And when you look over the shoulder, you're stimulating the throat. And you're squeezing the organs on the left side of your body. Together, this helps improve digestion. Few more breaths. I radiate love and goodwill to soul friends everywhere. Affirm like this again and again. you'll find that your pose deepens. Very good. Now breathe in. As you breathe out, untwist yourself. Bring the chin over the chest, chest over the belly button over belly button front. Hug your knees into the chest briefly, and let's transition to the other side. Again, you can start with your right foot on the inside of the knee if you're a little more tight today, or on the outside of the knee if you're feeling a little more flexible today. Lift the right arm up, exhale, take it back and to the left, inhale. Exhaling, begin the twist, lower spine first, belly button across, middle spine. Next, chest opening. Upper spine, upper spine is always the neck, cervical spine. Look over the right shoulder. Establish that traction with the right elbow, with the left elbow on the right knee, pushing one against the other gently to produce a twist in the torso. Stretch the neck by looking over the shoulder. I radiate love and goodwill to soul friends everywhere. You have to work in the pose, which means with every inhaling breath, lengthen the spine. With every exhaling breath, twist a little bit more. Good. One last time. Inhale deeply. Feel the prana flow in the body. And as you exhale, you can untwist facing forward. Hug the knees into the chest. And lift your torso. Lengthen the torso. Pause. And release. Let's come into a seated pose. Come into your best approximation of Siddhasana. Siddhasana, let's do that step by step. Bring the left heel into the perineum, right ankle in front of the left for the simpler version of the pose, or lock your left leg and then right leg and then the left. Place your hands on your knees. You can also do this in full lotus if you wish. The pose we are about to do is very awakening of the energy. It's called Parvatasana, seated mountain pose. For a moment, close your eyes. Gaze right here, above the eyebrows in the middle point of the forehead. Now open your eyes, look at me. What we are going to do is we're going to lift the arms like this, and then we're going to draw the belly in slightly, keep the belly unmoving, and we breathe into the chest and hold the breath. Okay, so that's the overall pose. So let's begin. Inhale to lift the arms. Keep the elbows bent. There is no need to lift it like this. Keep the elbows bent. Spread the elbows wide, splaying the elbows, so let it not come forward. Exhale fully. You'll feel your belly go in. Hold it in. Don't clench it, but just keep it firm. Now when you inhale, it will come into the chest. Breathe into the chest. Hold your breath with your eyes closed. Feel as if your hands are pulling the energy up the spine into the third eye. Hold your breath. Continue to hold the pose, but exhale when you're ready. Keep the belly still. Inhale again. Don't let the belly move. Hold your breath. If you have cardiovascular issues, then you shouldn't hold the breath. Keep the breath moving. If your arms, shoulders begin to hurt, you can place your hands in front of the heart. Exhale when ready. Do this about 3 or 4 more times. Affirm mentally, my thoughts and energy rise up to touch the skies. Let this be your last round of breathing. Now, as you inhale, straighten the elbows, exhale the arms down to the side, and rest. My thoughts and energy rise up to touch the skies. Feel that warmth in the area of the belly, from the solar plexus all the way down to the perineum. Now, as you're sitting there, I'm going to show you the next pose. This is again a marvelous pose to increase your metabolism. There are two ways of doing it. One of them is actually quite hard. I'll show you this. Like this. The objective is not to do sarvangasana, which is that, but instead keep the belly at a torso at a 45-degree angle. It's harder than it looks. Now let's keep this block handy, because if it gets hard, I'll show you a different version, but let's try this. Lie down on your back. I have to say, if you have cardiovascular issues, skip the pose. If you have neck or shoulder issues, skip the pose. If you are menstruating, skip the pose. If you are pregnant then skip the pose. Now let's begin. Lift your legs straight up. Press into the hands and lift your buttocks off the floor. Place your hands around the curve of your hip, just like you did for Ustrasana. Then roll your shoulders under. Now allow the legs to come forward. You'll feel more and more weight on your hands. Once the legs are straight up and your torso is at a 45-degree angle, you're now doing Viparita Karani, simple inverted. Now this can be a very hard pose to do because of the weight in your hands. If so, here is an alternative. If this is getting hard for you, you can release it and do this instead. You can take a block, place it at the medium height, place it at the sacrum, meaning just below your low back. Let your weight rest on the block and lift your legs up as you roll your shoulders under. This is an alternative way. Both have the same effect, which is to Viparita means opposite. Viparita Karani means take your energy in the opposite direction. So let's hold this for a few more breaths. Say to yourself, awake, my sleeping powers, awake. You're almost done. I know we've held it for a long time. Very good. Those of you doing the full pose, you can now slowly release the feet down to the floor. Those of you using a block, you can tense and just bring your feet down to the floor, but don't remove the block yet. Tense and release your buttocks around the block a few times. Your knees are bent. And once you've tensed and released the buttocks about 5 times, you can release the block and lie on the floor for a few breaths. Awake, my sleeping powers, awake. This pose brings your energy, your prana, to the throat area. Throat is the seat of metabolism. Udana, it's called in Sanskrit. Now, as you are lying there, take a look at me, our next pose, and this will be our final pose before we go into Shavasana. This is a pose that we do for preparing for headstand. It looks like this. Now from there, those of you that know the headstand, you can go into the headstand I won't be teaching that today. For those of you that already know, I just wanted to give you an option. So let's do this pose now. If you have any neck issues of any sort, any shoulder or neck issues, be very careful or completely skip the pose. It's possible there is a potential with weak shoulders or a traumatized neck for you to injure it even further. So I'll face forward so you can see what's going on. Do this with me. Place your forearms on the floor. Hold the opposite forearm with the hand. From this point, your forearms don't move. They're right there. Then, without moving the forearms, clasp your hands in front of you, like this. Press the middle of your forearm into the floor so you can activate your shoulder. It's like you're doing plank pose. Draw the shoulders away from the ears. Draw the hips forward. Place the very top of the head on the floor with the back of the head against the hands. If this feels uncomfortable, then skip the pose. Don't do it. Draw the shoulders away from the ears. No weight on the head at any point. Tuck your toes under. Lift your knees off the floor. If you feel weight on the head, come back. Then reactivate the shoulders. Draw the shoulders away from the ears. And then you can go back in. And slowly, you can begin to walk your feet closer and closer. And just stay there, breathing in and out deeply. No weight on your neck whatsoever. If there is weight, come back down and place the knees on the floor. It's okay. You will get the pose over time. Let's hold it for about 4 more breaths. I am he, blessed spirit, I am he. Affirm again and again. Very slowly, release your knees to the floor. Stay there with your bum lifted up for a few breaths. Breathing in and out. And then let's slowly come back to sit on our heels or sit cross-legged. This pose, half headstand preparation. It's good for the entire digestive system, activating all the 3, elimination, digestion, and metabolism, assimilation, all 3. So just feel that for a few moments with your eyes closed. Then clasp your hands behind you. We do need to stretch the shoulders after the last 2 poses. Straighten the elbows, lift the arms up. All the while, keep pressing the buttocks onto the heels. And so some of you, if you feel there is more stretch in your shoulders, you can fold forward and get a deeper stretch. Just hold it for a few more breaths. Inhale to come up. Now, lie down on your back for Shavasana, corpse pose. Shava, which literally means a corpse in Sanskrit, refers to, it's not that we are going to die, that's not the point. It refers to the fact that when you're fully relaxed, your prana, your energy is withdrawn from the body, and therefore we become like a corpse, but we are even more alive. We are alive with our prana. So the key here is to relax the body, but instead of going to sleep, we become more alive. I'll guide you through that. Let's take a gentle inhaling breath and tense the body. And exhale, fully relax. Let your body melt into the floor. Relax your legs. It's not merely a muscular relaxation. Stop thinking about your legs. Similarly, relax your hips and your torso and shoulders and arms. Relax your throat and face and your brain. So now you're no longer thinking about your body, but still something remains. And that's the light, the prana inside of you. So let's focus all of that light to a single point between the eyebrows, the third eye. This is the place from which our consciousness expands into the universe. So allow yourself to grow beyond the body. Let the body become like a shava, like a corpse, and expand into the universe. Become a yogi. Let's stay this way for about 5 minutes. Slowly find your breath. Gradually deepen your breath. Come back into your body. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Bend your knees, lie on your right side. Rest briefly. When you feel ready, press into your hands. Sit up, please. Sit still for a few moments. Feel your entire digestive system, the warmth in the bottom part of the belly, apana, your elimination current, middle part of the belly, samana, the current of digestion, and in the throat, udana, the current of metabolism. Feel them all harmonized. And as you gaze into the point between the eyebrows, let's end this class on the waves of 3 ohms. Rub your palms together. Spread them to the side. Inhale. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Amen. Hey, thank you, everyone. Great to spend the morning with you. We'll see you again next week. Are there any announcements I need to make? Oh, yoga teacher training. Yeah. So, coming up in January, starting January 19th, will be myself along with Christina over there, and a couple of other people will be guiding yoga teacher training. Although it's called teacher training, it's a deep dive into 39 of our most important poses. We'll spend 45 minutes on each pose learning how to do it, how to teach it, how not to do it, and so on, and teach you pranayamas and some of the things that we talked about today, the stomach pumping and a few others, along with chakras and nadis and the whole thing. Now that starts January 19th. If you're interested, then talk to Christina or I. It's a hybrid format. There'll be a bunch of videos to watch, and we'll also gather together physically about 6 times over a course of 3 months. Okay, so I think that's all we got going on. But the oh yeah, next Saturday there won't be yoga class because it's a very sacred weekend for us. It's the day of Kriya initiation. So many of us will be silent and meditating, preparing for Kriya initiation in the evening. But we'll gather back the following Saturday. Thank you all.